Coming up on today's show, Scale Model World. Yes, last weekend we were at Scale Model World 2014. Amazing to see so many of you there. We had a fantastic time. Thanks for everybody who came and said hello. So we'll be having a look at about that. Tamiya's 35th scale World War I Mark IV tank. We'll be covering how the video build's going on that one. The Meng 124th scale Ford, this is the F350 pickup truck, that's coming together really nicely, so we'll be having a look there. Also the massive Revell 136 HE111, which truly is turning into a monster. Scale Magic Modelling, LEDs, absolute fantastic little lighting rig this, just what we've been looking for in the hobby, so we'll be having a look at that. Trumpter's new 148th scale F106A Delta Dart, absolutely stunning kit, so we'll be having a review of that one. Plus all the other news and gossip. Hello, welcome to Flory Models, I'm Philip Flory. What an amazing weekend last weekend at Telford. Hope you enjoyed the video updates that we did from it. I must admit, absolutely cream crackered after that. It's a massive show, as you know. The amount of time it takes to get ready, I don't think most people appreciate, but certainly the week beforehand we were running around like headless chickens, 2-3 in the morning every night, running up to it, up at 5. Anyway, it was well worth it, apart from the weather on the way up, which was a bit pants to say the least. And yes, I know I put up that video of those poor lads driving up the Snatch Land Rover, and it was awful weather, and I was only joking, and trust me, guys in the military will appreciate the humour involved in that one, because it was quite a thing. Anyway, it was great to meet so many of you at the show. We took up 150 members bundles, as we called them, which had the posters and all the bits and pieces, the sticker sets, everything all in it, the badges, everything. They all went by, around about 3 o'clock on the Saturday, so Sunday was a bit of a thing, so we had to scramble around to get other bits and pieces together. It was great to see so many of you. Our stand looked amazing. Your work down on that end, it was absolutely stunning. For all the guys who brought your models along to be displayed, thank you so much. It did look good. You've got to admit, everybody who saw our stand was like, wow, that's some impressive work on there, and it really was. I know I'm biased, but we did have the best stand easy. It really was good. The standard of work was stunning, and everything else, including Keith's dart. The guys who were there on Friday night will know that one. Anything else? But anyway, it was great. The evenings as well. Obviously, we all got together the evenings on the Friday and on the Saturday as well. It was great to have you all with us. I can't rattle off names because I'll be here all week, but obviously, you know, some special people do speak out. You'll know the ones who you work with us in the hotel and everything else. It was great to see literally everybody sort of coming together for the photo meets and everything else like that. It really was a lot of fun. Very tiring, and the voice is still coming back to me now and everything else, but it was really, really nice, and great to meet all your partners as well, because quite frankly now they can understand what it's all about, or hopefully. Anyway, Monday I had off, if I'm honest, unloaded the car, put this place back together, because quite frankly it looked like something out of a war zone in here after we had left. Put it all together and everything else, and then Tuesday it really got back to normal. Because of the way things have been working and trying to catch up with everything, I haven't got much editing done this week, so that's why there hasn't been much builds up. It's all been done, as you can see me around me and everything else. It's just finding time to get it edited. So we'll basically go through them. The last part of the construction of the tank went up on whichever day it was, I can't remember off the top of my head. That really is going to get you to this stage, which is the completed article for the driving around tank and everything else like that. It's a fantastic kit. If you haven't got one, I know they're out of stock in the UK, and at Telford some people are asking me where to get them and everything else. I do believe they're coming back in stock soonish and everything else like that, so it'd be worthwhile getting on with that one. I'm going to be painting it, as we know, we spoke about last week anyway, with the AK paints and everything else like that, with the modulation sets next week, so that's why that one's coming up. The truck getting on nicely. As you can see, we have now the actual engine done, the chassis work's all done, everything else like that. Did some different things with this one, hand painted on metallizer paints, which isn't my normal way of doing it, but because it's a lump, I thought I'd give it a whirl. Soft brush, buffable paints, came up, gave it a rub, dry brushed it. It's my new technique for buffable paints. Gives them a nice luster, deep metal finish rather than rubbing them, which can be a little bit hit and miss. So we did it with that engine, absolutely fantastic going in there. It's a great kit, you know, as I say, I haven't actually tried this bit yet, so probably getting ahead of myself, but somewhere on here this will fit in. Okay, something like that-ish. There we go. So it is sort of coming together now. Going to look the part. Really going to enjoy this one. Usual thing at Telford, we had Alclad next to us. On Friday as we were leaving, we were stood around their stand as we were waiting our way to the hotel, and literally it was a case of, that's the colour I'm going to go for. This is the one. Forgot all about it. By the time we had packed up, Alclad was out the building as well at the same time as us, and I forgot to buy a bottle. So I'm still going to have to get hold of some pearlescent paint for this one, but it really is a fun build. If you haven't done a truck before, have a go at it. So the next part of that one is up now. So part 2 is going to be up on the site now for you to watch, and then hopefully the next part I'll have it completely built, and then we can talk about paint and finishing off, because obviously this shell will be one of the last things to fit on with the tail and everything else like that, because it will be painted separately. So this section will get painted and then installed onto it properly, the bed, and then obviously the actual outer shell with the windows in and everything else. So we're doing it really like a real car be painted. Something completely alien to me, because I'm used to building things as a whole and then moving through. But we've got the dashboard done here and everything else, and it is really a very nice build indeed. Next up this week, I managed to get on with this beast, and I say beast, look at the size of this thing. This thing's getting colossal. It's like got a 3-foot wingspan. It's stupid. As you can see, it is a monster of a build. Got these sections on. I have to say it went on a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm just still got a sand down filler and everything else with this one to really bring this one to life and get it sort of sorted. Then we can get the glasswork on the front. We can then get it masked up, and we can start to get some paint on it, which is going to be interesting to say the least because of the size of it. Generally, I have to say, no real fit issues to start with. Usual thing with this one, a little bit of flash here, there and everywhere can make a lot of difference. So just be careful as you're making your way through the build to make sure that you've got any bad joints. Have a look at the parts closely, and you might find a tiny little bit of flash. Certainly these engines being fitted onto the main body, we speak about it during the videos, both of them have got a tiny little bit of, I don't know, a little bit too much plastic. It's a little bit more than flash on both these engines. You take them off and they're a perfect fit, no problem at all. But until then, they can be a little bit of a problem. But generally, I have to say, really am enjoying it. It's bigger than I thought. I don't know how big I was thinking, but it is a beast. As you can see, we haven't done the photo etch engine bay for this bomb bay yet. I've literally just done the kit part. I'm going to do it as a separate, where I can spend a day with you guys talking about all things photo etch. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to display it as a separate part and pop it down there and do it all like that. So that's the plan with that one. As I say, the next part of that should be up with you now as well. So you're actually today getting 2 parts of the show and everything else. Also, don't forget, Sid actually did a blinding job at the show, and over the last couple of days I've been putting up his footage from Telford. He had one of the camcorders and went off and did his own little merry thing around the show and did an absolutely fantastic job, including getting gassed out by a tank. So if you haven't seen it, you'll see that one. Obviously, I'm not going to attach it to the new show because that's an hour thing on its own. Okay, it's an hour show from Telford, so that is a separate. And obviously, if you want to watch the ones where I did, they're only 2-minute videos throughout the entire weekend. They're up on our Facebook page, so you can go and have a look at those as well. So there's still plenty of things to see up there. One of the things I did find at Telford, though, which was, you know, from my point, one of those things is like, brilliant, I'm going to buy one no matter what, was this little guy. Okay, so in the past we've used quite a lot of electronics, LEDs mainly, to recreate lights on aircraft. So we're talking navigation lights, cockpit lights, things like that. So in the past we've used LEDs with fibre optic, which are great, but they don't do much. They're pretty much just constant, and we haven't really sort of gone too in depth with it. Then we came along and we did the F-16 Suffer, the Academy kit you can see here. Now this was a massive project. This one had a fully lit interior with all the displays and everything else in the cockpit. We had a nose wheel landing light, extremely bright, did the job totally. Navigation lights which were flashing, okay, as if it was coming into landing. And then obviously top and bottom flashing LEDs at different frequencies, so they're all basically doing different things. Now internally that was quite complex because we had 2 chips running the entire setup and everything else. And for ages I've been saying now, wouldn't it be great if we could just literally have a plug in and play type system? Now there are some out there, don't get me wrong, I've got one here, okay? This is a straightforward sort of RC set that they do. It's not the cheapest in the world, and to be honest it's pretty crude, but it's all here for you if you wanted to. So you've got your power pack goes in, and then literally you've just got a couple of LEDs that come off for doing brake lights on cars, things like that, and headlights. You know, pick it up anywhere at your local RC place, no problem at all. But again, it wasn't brilliant. It didn't do much. It was either on or off, or something in between. Anyway, at Telford this year, Mark and myself had our Star Destroyers there, which has probably got more LEDs than you could stick out between both of us. Mark grabbed me, took me off to a stand, one of the few I managed to get to see, and we went and had a chat with these guys at Magic Scale Modelling. Now, immediately their stand, you look around it and you think, oh, some very nice stuff here. I imagine it's quite complex, quite complicated and all the rest of it, until we realise it's a simple system. What you actually get in your set, they do lots of different sets, and it's something I'd like to cover in the future. We'll see how this one goes, and I'll get a hold of some more. Now, I did actually buy this one, so I said it's 30 quid. It's not the cheapest on the planet. You might get better deals perhaps in the EU, things like that, but certainly over here to the pound, that's what they're offering them at the show. What you actually have is this guy. Now, this is a very simple chip on a little circuit board like this, pre-wired as well for a standard 9-volt battery. Okay, and then what you have is these outputs here. Okay, you've got the chip as well for its program. Okay, and then you've got a button which you literally just click, and over here we have a dial for dialing in at different frequencies to the LEDs. Okay, and this moves back and forth, and we'll show you in a moment about it. The great thing with all of this is it's simple. Even I can do it, and let's face it, you know, electronics and me don't exactly go hand in hand. I always tend to do the easiest route possible. In your kit you actually get, this is a little bit more than your standard one you get. Normally you tell them what you want and they will put it all to order and all the rest of it. You actually get these guys. Now, these are all pre-wired male and female connectors, as you can see here, so they just plug into each other, so you can daisy chain them on to have longer length. So obviously red is live, okay, and you literally just go along and plug them all in like that. So actually what you can do, if we just set some of these up, should have done it first. This is as simple as just coming along and plugging these in. So if I just get the longer ones, so remember, the positive is the one closest to the chip, okay, and that is red, okay, and then you've got your negative, which is the black. Very straightforward. Even I can do this one. If you were to wrongly wire it, it just won't work. It's as simple as that. The system will not let you do it the wrong way round, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. Okay, so if I just stick these in, okay, just got a few more. Now in here we've actually got, how many? I think it's 8 separate channels coming out, all right? Now the thing is, you can then set these up to be various things. There is, and I have to remember some of this as we talk, 17 modes in the system, if I remember correctly, and there's a demo mode as well, which I presume would just go through the sequence of everything that's in here. Okay, and then you could go further with this as well, and already I've made a slight faux pas because that one's around the wrong way. That's why I tend to put it together, then plug the battery in. Okay, so that's all in like that. Now, your actual LEDs themselves are tiny little guys, which can't get in the zip bag, there we go, which are these tiny little things here. Now in here we got some big ones, so you could use these for engines perhaps, and different things which I'll show you in a moment. Different size LEDs, different types of LEDs as well. Now this is something I played with before. I'll move these out of the way. You've got these 2 different size ones. Now you can pick these up and obviously put your own in, but I'm just going to show you the difference. Now these ones here have got a little tiny sort of nipple at the top, as you might be able to see, versus this one that's domed off. The great thing with this one here, which is small, you can sand it to any flushness you want. And also where this is round, which okay is fine for a beacon, a light, something else like that internally. If you wanted this as a nav light or a beacon light on an aircraft, you want it to be a lot smaller, you can sand this exactly to how you want it, poke it in through the hull or in the wing or whichever way you want to do it, and you're away. Jobs are good and it's very, very simple. So if we just use these bigger ones so they purely appear better on camera. So you've got your live is the longest one. The way I do it as well with these, just to hold them in, I pull them apart just a little bit, and then that way they'll hold their own. So just remember, live is always the longest and the earth or the negative is the shortest. Okay, and then all you're going to do is literally come along, plug all these little guys in. I'm just trying to find all the bigger ones if we're honest. Okay, and we're just going to come along and stick them in, just pull them apart a little bit. I'd say pulling them apart isn't necessary, it just holds them in for the moment and gives you a bit of contact. Obviously when you're doing this properly, you could then put these in with a little bit of heat shrink around them to hold them in, or whichever way you actually want to do it. Okay, so we just come along with this one, pop this in. Now, you know, a lot of things is, where could you use this? and obviously I'm doing this from an aircraft modeller's point of view, but don't forget, as I'll show you in a moment, you've got numerous options with this absolutely everywhere, okay? So what we're actually saying is you would have this chip system somewhere buried in your model, or if you're in a vehicle, something else like that, you could pop it in the boot of your car. Then you just run the power lead out. Obviously you could extend this down, off, put an on-off switch on it, anything else like that, no problem at all. Then you just run these cables by using the extenders or cutting them and putting your own cable onto it anywhere where you like on the actual model, be it a car, a ship, a diorama, you know, a tank, plane, helicopter, whatever you want to do, by feeding around perhaps smaller cables, which is something we did with the F-16. We had a lot finer cables running around that thing than we've got here, but this is great just to show you. Then you take your 9-volt battery, okay, and then obviously these only go around one way, and as you can see, Christmas time has arrived early. All right, so as you can probably see, we've got them down here doing all the different things. So if I just try and pull them apart a little bit so they're in different places. Okay, so as you can see, we've got various things. Now, you've got your little button just down here. All right, so if you press the button once, you'll get a different mode. Okay, so it's now flashing round. So, you know, obviously you could use this exactly where you wanted to altogether. But from my point of view, I'm thinking, well, look, that'd be great for a sort of police car, ambulances, because you've got that type of chase. Okay, you've got another one now. This is double blinking, obviously each side. So you could do nav lights, things like that with this one, but it's different rates. If you look at these over on this side, you can see this is a pulse one, where these are double flashing like aircraft. And obviously I know it's difficult to see like this because I haven't got them in the order where you'd normally go with them, but you sort of get the idea to all of this. All right, then you've got your next mode. So this is basically constant, and it's on a chase sequence, I think, just going around a little bit. Okay, double flashing on all in pairs. Okay, so you've actually got 4 pairs double flashing in twice. Okay, so you've got, I'm just trying to count them all here because as I say, we are slightly out of order, but you've got these over here. It's 4 and a 4 flashing together. Okay, double flashing all of them, and then as you say, we've got this half over here and this half over here, 4 and 4, different pulse rates, all of them obviously as a constant, all on, double flashing, and there's slightly different frequencies of the flash at the moment. Okay, then we've got various ones all over the place with this one, different rates, pair flashing. And then we've got, this is the one that I would be interested in from my point of view, because what we've got one over here, which you could have, for instance, for your nose wheel light, okay, or landing lights. Then we've got 3 others, okay, so what you actually got then, you could have then one for perhaps, you know, obviously on the cockpit interior, say, for one light. Then you've got 3 others, so you could have main wheel lights, okay, for gear, for landing, so talking like a tornado, something else like that. And then you've got a tail light as well, permanently on. Then you've got flashes, so you could have top and bottom, obviously red flashing, and then on the wingtips you could have those. Or, as I say, you could have green, constant, and red on with strobe light flashing for an aircraft. So I'm thinking this is my favorite, to be honest, would be your aircraft type thing with this one. The other thing as well, you could do little things we'll show you in a moment. You could actually have this set up to be an aircraft. So you could say, right, okay, so we've got, you know, one light over here, perhaps doing a cockpit feed, something else like that. External strobes, these permanent ones on here as well. I think this is the one. You've actually can have, you might see we've got a flicker system now on this bulb. Okay, now the thing is, we can increase the frequency by turning them up and down, but you could have this then, 2 of them as engines, which is something I'm going to be doing with the Typhoon, the Eurofighter Typhoon, and having workable engines. It's going to be in flight, I'm going to have all of this in it. But this light is actually flickering. I don't know how well the actual camera picks it up on this one, but hopefully you can see there's a slight type of flicker to it, which is giving you that type of effect. So depending on your LEDs you actually put in this one will depend on the type of effect you actually get with it. Okay, so again, just constant on with that LED. So it is that thing. Obviously your choice of LEDs that are going will make the difference, but again, speak to them, okay? If you give them a word, the guy's name is Richard, he's really, really nice, okay, one of the nicest guys at the show. He knew what he was talking about as well, which is the nice thing. So I think if you said to him, I'm looking for this particular setup, you can go through it. The other thing as well, and we'll show you whilst we're on this mode, down here, if you put a screwdriver in this little guy down here, as you notice, we can increase the frequency, okay, or you can slow it down. Long double flashes. So you've actually got a little dial here, so you can tune it to exactly what type of flashes you would like. Again, it's setting you up for so many possibilities. So we can move on. So another one here, we've got flashes all over it. This type of thing you could do in a diorama for gun flashes. Again, you know, you want a bit more of a gun effect. You could then turn up the flashes and have them independently going all over to make it look like gunfire, something else like that. We just turn it down to halfway. Okay, or artillery firing, things like that, AA guns, all that type of thing. This is a nice one. This is a single one going round, which I know doesn't seem much, but you have the option to turn it right down, so it's quite slow, or you can just whack this thing up so it looks like gunfire. Again, I'm thinking dioramas, anti-aircraft guns, and don't forget, you can get smaller LEDs to fit down barrels of guns and things like that. Okay, onward, bit more chasey type things, flashing type things, and all the way go over. So I know you're thinking, okay, it's a glorified Christmas tree, okay, but you have got options to work with this one. You could, if you wanted to, pair them up. You're going to lose the voltage, so they're going to dim down, but you could double these up quite easily and put other bulbs in them. Obviously different type LEDs, different type things. Obviously this is a flicker one, so as we spoke about before, this will do, I presume it will do a flicker as a multiple type flicker on this one instead of off. But again, the usual thing again, if you want to up it, we can up its strobe to give you engines, rocket fire, anything at all, or you could turn it right down. And this is just doing a very simple pulse now. So depending on how you work these things all out will depend exactly what you get with your actual diorama. But the thing is, I've been saying for a long time that it'd be nice if we had a kit for idiots like me who don't know about electronics. You can just pick one up, £30, the entire set, all your LEDs, everything. You tell them what it's for. So you say, I'm going to need, I don't know, 2 red, well, 3 red LEDs, 1 green, couple of white ones, different intensities. So obviously talk about strong white light for a landing light versus an internal. Perhaps you would want a softer type of yellow light, things like that, and go right the way through. And then, as we said, you could easily, if you wanted to, extend these on. So I've done this one for about the right length for doing the Eurofighter, I reckon, if this was in the middle. So, and then literally we've just extended this one on so you can have it off as you go right the way round. All exciting stuff. It gets better. Haven't got them here because, to be honest, I couldn't afford to buy them all. But they also do things like a MIG welder. Okay, so you can actually, as he's welding, you get the blue blinding flash off of it. Okay, it is the tiniest little wire that you've ever seen coming out of this thing, and the LED that produces the light is so tiny but so bright. They had it set up so he's actually welding with it on the front of a Jeep, and it was 1/35 scale, and it was perfect scale, perfect everything. So you could have a few of them around doing it. Remember, if you're going to use it off of one system like this to go round, it's obviously going to have one frequency, so they're all going to be going at the same time, so you might need 2. Other things as well, they had another gentleman which was smoking a cigarette, which was a tiny LED in the end of his fag. Okay, again, they do the smallest ones you've ever seen. They stock them all, so you can literally just go in, tell them what you want to do with it, and they'll send you all the correct items and everything else. I do believe Richard stands by his product all the way, so any problems you'd have, you just have a word with him, and I'm sure he'll sort you out all the way through. They had other things as well, lots of sci-fi, UFOs, chasing patterns, round LEDs that go obviously inside UFOs, things like that. But it just goes on and on and on. From the diorama point of view, from everything, something that is so small, so easy, and you can adjust it. So it's not like you've got a chip system normally where you can't adjust the frequency, so you can just slow it down if we wanted to, or we could then literally come along and turn it up so you can get that type of right look that you want for your model and your display and everything else like that. It's a great product. So this one was £30. I bought it at Telford at the show. I'm pretty sure that's roughly about the price they're going to be normally. Full details are going to be up in a moment anyway for this one. But have a word with Richard, talk to him. He's open to feedback as well and everything else. He's a really nice guy and well worth it. And hopefully what I intend to do is get a few more of his kits and his sets and various things to show you about the MIG welding one, because that's brilliant, and the tiny little ones that they do as well, because compared to this they're absolutely microscopic. Say the wire coming off is like a human hair. It's absolutely tiny, and it's such a bright light coming off of it. I think personally it's well worth it, and as I said, if you're not into electronics, it's absolutely a fantastic thing, and certainly for me, I'm going to love playing with this. there you go. You know, it's what I'm talking about. This thing is, you know, okay, I know you're going to get the guys out that say, oh, you can make up a set and all the rest of it. But for us who are completely hopeless when it comes to electronics and anything else like that, to have a situation where it's plug and play, and that's basically what this is absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, this is one of a series of sets they do. So make sure you pop along to their website, have a look, and you can see all the different versions. But literally on a truck this scale, for instance, you know, you could have hazard lights going as well as headlights and things like that, and turning signals and all the rest of it. If you're talking about even like with the Bomber, easily to stick these LEDs in something that size, but even on something smaller like a 48th aircraft or something else like that, this will all fit, no problem at all. And I know some people have mentioned about the size of the board and all the rest of it. You could hide it in most things. I don't think most things you couldn't get this in up to a 1/48. After that, then obviously what you could do, use thinner cabling and then run it from the board underneath you. Perhaps you've got a diorama base and bring it up that way and in, because these cables pretty much, you know, sort of standard industry cables. You can get thinner ones, and when you're dealing with the voltages and things like that these are, it's hardly anything at all, so it should be quite easy. But I just love the way it's, you know, pick a mode. I have two modes I like. To be honest, I have what I call my aircraft mode, which is, got to find it, where one stays on. And I have another one, which is this one, which has got this long one here and this one. So you've actually got technically nose wheel and navigation lights, and you've got all the blinker ones. Perfect for aircraft, okay? But there's other ones that I call sci-fi, because a lot of sci-fi stuff you get where they've got navigation lights on the side, so it just blinks fours, which is great then, because obviously you do one side then the other, and you can randomize them because there's other modes in there. But to have something where you can literally just plug a battery into it, bung in your little, you know, your lights, and away you go, is absolutely fantastic. I'd say 30 quid, I don't think it's too bad. You know, as you say, by the time you've bought a set like I did for my other bits and pieces, you're not that far off it anyway, to be honest. And as I say, Richard over there, he knows what he's talking about. He can help you out with any problems you might have with your circuits, your boards. Anything goes wrong, anything doesn't work, shoot him a message and I'm sure he'll sort you out, no problem at all. So again, absolutely fantastic bit of kit, we love it. Okay, next up, something that I've had on order and it turned up at the show and everything else. This is the 1/48th Trumpter F106 Delta Dart. Hi, welcome to Flory Models Kit Review time. Today we've got the 1/48 scale F106 Delta Dart. Absolutely fantastic. Trumpter have come along and redone these kits, because let's face it, what do we have? The monogram ones, raised panel lines. Whoa. So it's nice to see new kits coming along, Century Series jets. If you're into your early jets and things like that, you're going to know all about this aircraft. If you haven't, these things were absolutely fantastic for their time. So down in the box, as you can see, very nice box art in its typical role. It was an interceptor. It was designed to knock out bombers before they got to striking distance and everything else. So down on the box, quick look around it. As you can imagine, the usual things, talking about the New Jersey squadrons. And then as we make our way all the way around, which is quite a nice touch. So the kit number is 02891. Very nicely done. So with Trumpter, all their boxes are very, very nicely done. Very strong and sturdy, which makes it great for building. Okay, the usual blurb from what's coming up, which is pretty much all of this. A lot of their 144 stuff these days making its way through, but we do have the Russian Navy First World War battleship, which is odd choice. Look, let's get some of the other stuff in. So in here, let's have a look down in the bottom for the instructions before we go with that bit. So that's our clear parts. Okay, so on the old instructions, what we have, we've got our usual thing. So we've got the sprue call outs, as you can imagine, all the way through. Then we've got the parts, so we're talking about the cockpit, the seat going together. We've got a little bit of photo etch for some of the harnesses and the belt works, which is quite nice. The actual cockpit tub itself going together, being put in, everything else. Usual thing on these, it tends to be follow the same plan. You're going to go in with a nose wheel, which is multi-part setup, so we should get some nice detail down in those, which I assume is going to go cockpit floor job, as we can see down here. Okay. Engine, full length engine, which is very nice to see. Shame you'll never see any of it. Okay, and the weapons bay, which is this guy down here, which is what fits in the bottom, which is where all those nice missiles are stored. Intakes going on, 2-piece intakes. And be interested to see how they actually fit in there, because they're just going to sort of disappear down there. But I think it will be enough, okay, for actually what you need, okay. Being a Delta, obviously very large wing systems going in there. Usual thing with these, opening up a couple of holes, and then you've got the actual main wheel well going in. Then we've got that being installed into there. The brace system goes in the bottom half of the wing section being fitted in, and then the top's on. Always going to be tricky to get the right type of seam lines on these. It is the trouble with Delta aircraft. They always have this huge seam line that you're going to have to do something with as a rule, so it'd be interesting. Looks like we've got positional control surfaces on the flaperons down here at the back, which is quite a nice touch. Okay, and then just putting up a few of the cockpit areas up the front. Tail system going in there, obviously the rudder, nice to see the speed brake open. Hopefully you can have it both ways. Okay, tail being installed. Looks like, again, doesn't look like there's much to hold that on, so it'd be interesting to see how that actually goes in, if that's a nice fit along there. It's always the trouble when you're coming along with a tube versus anything else to get it to be a very nice fit. Okay, cockpit glass looks like directly attached to the framework. Oh, I hate that. Okay, and then it seems great at the time because you think, oh, I just paint it and all the rest of it. But then you've got to try and glue it down, and you haven't got any room as a margin of error to play with, apart from something usually very small, which it looks like it will have the putty stuff moulded round there and all the rest of it. Cockpit front glass going on, obviously the canopy in and nose goes on. No sign of any nose weight on this one. Okay, main gear itself, as you can see, doesn't look too badly detailed, being positioned down in there as that all goes in. Gear doors, some nice detailing, if that's right, that's going to show through, which would be a nice touch. And then we've got this one's down here. Looks like we've got a couple of rats, which is the ram air turbine, in case it loses power, can be shown open or closed. Okay, so that's quite a nice little touch. Okay, and then obviously we've got the activators for the flaperons going on at the back, and it looks like we have nuclear strike capability, which is always going to, if you're going to go big, that's the way to do it. Okay, some nice touches, little bits and pieces going in on the bottom, some IFF stuff I do believe going in the bottom there. So let's get it straight. You do all that work with a weapon. No, that's right, I'm only kidding. Okay, so you can either have the weapon base shut or you can have it open. So you've got your activators just down here for the actual weapons fit to go on, and then obviously the doors being positioned. You are going to want it open, let's face it. And then we've got external fuel tanks going on there. I can't remember the name of the missile now. It's not the Phoenix, it's the one before it, which I can't remember its name off the top of my head, and it doesn't tell you what it is either. It's the Falcon. I think it's the Falcon missile, which is underneath, which was the radar intercept missile of the day. Okay, as it goes right the way in there. Normally you used to get 4. I don't know if they still fit 4, if it's 2 down in there. Oh, it is 4. It's nice. It's on a trapeze system, really complicated. And at the time, it was like light years ahead. When you think of modern jets now, and we're talking like obviously F-22, F-35, that now use the same type of trapeze system to actually lower the weapon clear of the aircraft, and obviously it stores it internally as well. You know, and you're thinking these things were designed in the 50s. All right, so there we go. Very nicely kit done. Seems to be very nice all the way through. Your markings you've got 2 options, I do believe, yes. So you've got these, looks like the standard ones. I'm just seeing whose it is. Still not going to tell me what missile it is. Okay, and then obviously we have this one on this side. Again, very nice markings. Nice to see a little bit of colour on them and everything else like that. Okay, decals themselves, this is that little bit of photo etch, as we can see it just down there. Not much, but it'll be nice. It's got all the little aerials in there. The decals themselves, if I can get these out in one bit, just bought a heat sealer so we can seal them back up. Okay. So the decals themselves, as you can see, they look a little bit sort of oily. How well the camera can get in these at the different angles. But they seem to be pretty good stuff. So we've got the internals, everything seems to be in regia. The carrier film looks a little bit big, thick and heavy, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem with all of that in there. It all looks to be nicely in register. Some nice colour as well. It is proper solid reds and blues, and with the stars and bars, it's got a film over the top, but hopefully that will come out during your decal preparation. So in the box, let's just start them as we go. So bag one, we actually have the cockpit itself. So we can do it down here nowadays. All right, you can see which camera is probably best. Never mind, we'll just play with both, see what we get. All right, so down here, a couple of things. Notice the cockpit detail is very nice. We've got some very nice raised panel line detail down in this one, so that's really nice. Also, the detail work in this weapons bay is absolutely exquisite. That's really nice on a 148 scale aircraft. So you've got everything from moulding lines right the way through to some wiring and cables going through. Also, the detail on the wiring cables down in here is absolutely beautifully done as well. The instrument panel, although you get a decal for it, it is all raised detail, so that might be a little bit of a pain to get down, but again, it looks very nicely done. Quite liking the look of that. That's some very nice detail in those. Okay, we've got the sides of the seats. Never going to be able to reseal that bag, that's a bit tight. Okay, so down in here, again, very nice detail on the side of these seats. Beautifully done. We've got some nice bolt detail, riveting, some wiring detail. These are those trapezes we were talking about for the weapon system. To be swung out clear of the aircraft. Again, it's recessed, it's got little bits of detail all the way around in there. The control grip and everything else, again, nice detail. The wheels in one piece, which is quite nice, can't stand separate hubs. Going all the way around. The seat looks a bit basic, there's nothing really to it, but you've got some added areas, but it'd be nice to see a bit more texture on the cushion perhaps. Nose wheel is one complete moulded lump, okay, so that's quite acceptable. Nice detail. I think that'll all pick out very, very nicely. No problem with that. Okay, and then we've got, I presume it's going to be a duplicate, okay, one down here, which is what I was thinking when I just saw that one. Are they going to be coming out with other versions and variants? Well, have a quick look in here purely because we've got it out. It's going to be a duplicate as well. All right, so down in here, what we've actually got is the fuel tanks, which have got nice recessed panel lining all the way down them. That's nice. We've got the nuclear strike. I can't remember it off the top of my head what it is. Okay, and we've got the radar guided missiles. Very nice touch as well. In fact, you've got two types in here. So we believe that half of them, because they did do an infrared version and a radar guided version. So it looks like we've got both there. Sway braces, but just down here, the detail is raised. Hopefully you can hear that. Okay, for the actual riveting on the trapeze system itself. So we're saying it's 148, but it's got loads of potential because the detail is absolutely exquisite. Love it. Okay, some of the bigger stuff. Again, when immediately I'm looking at this, this is an evolution, shall we say, of previous sort of trumpeter kits. Normally they're a little bit, best way to describe it, they're normally a little bit clunky. We're getting quite refined now. Some of these details are absolutely lovely, but also the plastic itself is very muted. There's no big markings and that where it's come together. There's certainly no residue on this whatsoever, but it seems to be an extremely clean, crisp mold versus some of their earlier stuff, shall we say. But it's really nice to see. So just looking around here, catch it in the lights, as you can see, we've got there very nice, very fine recessed panel lining and riveting detail all over that. Just this area down here, it works really, really well. You know, it's just working out which camera works best with these. Okay, but generally walking around it, all these intakes, very nicely, smoothly molded and everything else like that. Okay, and don't forget, this technically is the blind side, because over here, you've got all of this down in here. So we're not just talking a couple of wires and that, we've got lots of cabling detail, which is bordering on what you would expect to find in resin. It's in here. Very nicely done, cleanly molded, no ejection pin marks, because don't forget, this is the blind side, the ejection pin mark. I can't see one in there. So the ejection pins are all around it, which have worked because it's got it out the mold without, as far as I can see, a single ejector pin, which is really nice. Again, no ejector pins in these guys. These are the main gear. Riveting detail each side of this wiring going down, beautifully done, no problem with that at all, and working its way through. So a real thumbs up with that one. The actual main engine bag, I presume, and the gear. Okay, so when we're looking at it through here, if we do the inside, this is the blind side first, okay, the ejector pin side. Again, these engine sets as you can see them down here. Nothing whatsoever, no ejector pin marks in there at all. Yes, we've got it in these. No, you're not going to see them anyway, so it doesn't matter. The ejector pins and things like that all seem to be out of the way, which is lovely. So this is the blind side. We've got no ejector pins here. The nose cone, it's just twisted around for packaging. Looks to be quite nice. No ejector pin marks on any of the doors, any of the major parts. The gear all looks very nicely done, and everything else as you work your way through. And even down to these areas down here, we've got bottles and that. Nothing. This is the best side, allegedly. Okay, and again, nothing whatsoever. Some nice detail around the gear, some nice little touches down there. All of this is very sharply done. None of it is, you know, rough texture and things like that. The engine nozzle itself is a peculiar thing at the best of time. It looks like a sea urchin or something. But there you go. Very nice, very cleanly moulded. No problem with that at all. And generally looks very, very nice. Got the arrestor hook down here for the emergency one. That looks to be a very nice piece as well. So generally all over, I can't find any problems with that at all. There's the pitot tube on the front. Looks to be nice and clean. The other thing as well, when you look at it, you can't see huge seam lines, as in the mould lines themselves between the two halves coming together. So you've got no real burring that you're going to have to clean up and take care of. So actually, very nice kit. Okay, the big stuff. So just down in here we've got here the wings. So hopefully you guys can see this on the different camera angles. But if we pick out a smaller one and we'll work our way through. Trouble with these LED lights now, I've got no reflection, so it's hard to pick out detail. So you can see cobwebbing and stuff like this around here. Okay, when you see this line, don't take too much notice of that. That's just in the plastic, you can't actually see it. But as you can see, you've got a nice texture and it's not a million rivets all over. What's there is very fine. Here on the other hand, hopefully you can see it, there's a lot more going on. Okay, so you've actually got loads of riveting detail going around. Each one of these panels has got loads of tiny little rivets, very close to coming through, because obviously you need to open it up anywhere on the blind side, but it is clean, but it's all got that nice texture to it. And you're not going to do it in a new metal finish or something else like that, so you don't have to worry about it. But generally, very nice, very clean, crisp moulding. All of this looks to be very, very nice. And on the inside, obviously this bit you're going to see, that's not an ejector pin, that should be there, that's the navigation light and everything else. So it all looks very nicely done. There's certainly been a little bit of clean work done down on this edge. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's obviously the mould's been cleaned. So I'm assuming some test shots were thrown and then they've come back and repolished it, because that's very nice, which is a sign of at least they try to fix something. So yeah, absolutely nice, really, really nice kit. Also, this will give you the size of the scale of this thing. This isn't some little small jet. As you can see, this is a big old lump, and I haven't got my thing out now, but it's got to be a foot long, okay, and all the rest of it. But again, as you're looking down on it like this, if we try and pick our way through, very nice details. It's all very fine. It's just in there. It does make you wonder if it's going to be a little too fine, but it does look sharp, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. All of this stuff. We've got some nice internals down in here as well, which is quite a nice touch, all of those. It all seems very nicely clean, but even just the riveting detail, hopefully you can catch it, hundreds of it all down here. These weapon doors as you make your way through them and everything else like that. So I'm going to say this is going to be a stonking. You're not going to have much on the wingspan, but what it does make up for in length. Okay, so genuinely very, very nice. So last thing up, we've got a couple of little clear bits here. So we'll have a quick look-see in these. So maybe better slip him off. So looking at the clear part, as you can see, that is beautifully done. Not a lot of wobble in that, considering when you see the complexity of that shape. That is absolutely beautifully done. That's some of the finest clear moulding I've seen, purely because that's got to be incredibly difficult to do, because there's not a rounded edge on that. It's all peculiar angles and things. Sorry, something in my eye. And then we've got this last one here, which should have the front. I'm not going to try and rip it off in case it's in here. So if I just... And again, you can see the detail, this barring that's down on this one here. Catch it in the light there, you see. Very nicely done, extremely clear. And it's something, you know, obviously I can't speak for them, but they seem to have spent a little bit of time refining their clear work, because now their clear work is uber clear. It's, you know, the clarity is absolutely stunning. So I'm just going to pop this in the bag before I lose it. Okay, so there we go. That is the F106 Delta Dart. Trumpeters, probably, I'd have to say, their finest kit to date in 48 scale. It's beautifully done. Obviously, I don't know how it goes together, but from a box point of view and looking in there and seeing the clarity, the cleanness, the sharpness of everything, there's no sink marks, there's nothing that you would ever worry about at all in this kit whatsoever. So I assume it's going to be a fantastic build. So that looks to be an absolute winner from Trumpeter. You know, as you say, Century Series of jets, you know, we're talking basically things like the Voodoo as well, the Dagger and everything else like that for that type of series, and then getting onto the Phantoms and that. Century Series jets, absolutely fantastic. So as I say, well done, hats off to Trumpeter. That is a very nice kit indeed. I've got other great reviews coming for you, to be honest. I've got some of them down here, which I will get around to doing this week, but just haven't had time. So we've got a nice review coming up this week on Warhammer. We've got the Tamiya's Easy 8 Sherman, because I've got this one in for doing the Sherman build and everything else. This one that comes with the figures. I think it's the old Tasker kit. And we've also got in here, to go along with my Hind 24, something I just couldn't resist. Let's face it, it's not many parts to this, is the MI8. Well, what can you say? It's the transport version of the Hind. Something I did pick up at Telford, I do have to mention, thank you to Peter for finding it to me. I mentioned it in the live show this last week as well, that I got stung because I bought one on Fleabay and half the parts were missing and all the rest of it. I found one. This is the second kit I ever built from a kid, and it says 30p on the end still, so that's brilliant. So I've got that one now for my stash, which I'm going to build. Don't think I'm going to sit on it and all the rest of it. Something for later on in the year and things like that. Steve Sutcliffe sent me a couple of kits as well. I spoke to him obviously over the weekend. We've got their Tamiya's new Ducati. This is the 1199 Ducati, and also I'm just trying to work out whose it is. It's the Merit. We got the M19 tank transporter as well, so we got a review for that one coming up as well. So plenty of reviews, various builds to get on with and everything else this week, so get back to it, will be good as gold. Just looking over there, don't forget guys that the great War 100 commemorative SIG ends obviously on the 16th, so you've only got this Sunday to get your entries in and done. I really was hoping to have this one done for it, but it is my own personal one to it. As I said, if you haven't got your entry in yet, it's a SIG, so there's nothing technically for it. There isn't many entries in there either. It's a bit disappointing. There's only 6, considering we had masses of interest about it in the early days. So I wouldn't say it's a flop, because it can't be a flop, but it would have been nice if we'd had more finishes in that one. So if you are getting close, really push through, see if you can get that one done. The Operation Overlord one, you got 23rd of November, so you got the weekend after that. That's next Sunday, so that's 2 weeks on Sunday for that one to finish. Let's say we've got 114 entries in on that one. We've got 42 finished so far. I know there's a lot of you getting close, so that's try and get a push. You've got 2 weeks really to get on with them, get them finished and get the reveal photos up into the actual reveal area on that particular thread. Okay, so make sure you push through with that one, and then the others, to be honest, you've got until next year. You've got loads of time on those and everything else. Lots of you spoke to me about what we're going to be doing for different SIGs and group builds for next year, because obviously we gave away the planner with them all on as a poster. You know, as I said, that's how it is basically for next year. We might add a few more little ones in there, we might get some little bits and pieces, but generally that is all sorted for next year now, so they're locked in. And then obviously we'd be thinking about 2016, which seems a long way in the future, doesn't it, and all the rest of it. But generally, you know, that's it. Other things I want to speak about, a lot of people asked about obviously airbrushing courses. They are fully booked until the end of the year. I've got no more spaces at all. Next year, obviously what we're going to try and do is do a few more shows, if we're honest. So we're probably going to have 1 course per month instead of doing 2 per month. But again, I haven't got any dates. I've got a lot of your email addresses and obviously names down for the courses coming up. What I will do is probably nearer Christmas, I will sit down and try and work those dates out. But obviously, as we all know, trying to work out where you're going to be in 6 6 months' time, it's a little bit tricky, and it's the same with us. So we're planning on doing a few more shows to get out and around the UK especially. So what we're going to do is hopefully do a show every single month around the UK, and then obviously we'll be doing airbrush courses in amongst those, as well as everything else we get up to at the weekends and things like that normally. So bear with us with the airbrushing courses, because it was my probably most common asked question of the entire weekend and everything else like that. As I said, there's loads of stuff up on Telford. There's loads of things about the photos and all the various bits and pieces. We're going to leave you today with some photos as well, so there's plenty to catch up with. To be honest, I've now got to go and do probably a couple of days of editing to get up to speed with everything, because to get everybody up to these areas. But as I say, the Meng truck is up today. The Heinkel build will be up as well today as well, or certainly Saturday that will be up as well, along with the other builds. And then next week I can get in, finish off the World War I tank, get on with the Heinkel, get that put together, put those in and everything else. Up later on today as well, you're going to see the poll for the next video build you would actually like to see here on Flooring Models as well. So don't forget, pop yourself into the forum, have a look in the announcements area, and then there you're going to get the poll for the actual upcoming builds for the rest of the year and then next year and everything else like that. So until next week everybody, happy modelling and take care. Right guys, here we go on our way to Telford. Driving up now, we've got a nice 3-hour trip ahead of us. We've been going for just over an hour now, and as you can see in the back of the vehicle, we are absolutely loaded with all the stuff. We have another vehicle with us which is coming up behind us somewhere. He's been a little bit caught up in traffic with another load of stock as well. So we'll get back to you in around about 3 hours, or 3 hours and a bit as it's saying, when we get to Telford. So yeah, on our way. We're about an hour out now, and the weather, as you can see, is pretty horrible, but it could be worse. Never mind. Right, okay, update what, number 3. We've arrived and setting up the usual chaos. So we've got some of the guys here. As you can imagine, it is utter chaos. The girls.
Hello.
Looking good. Setting up. Members, if you're going to come, this is the stuff you're going to be getting. We've got various things for you. It's all a bit covered over, don't worry about it. It'll all be all right on the night. Various other bits and pieces if you want to pick anything up. We've got the polo shirts as well and all the others. See, setting up all the sanders, so all your sanders are going to be here. Sid, say hello, Sid.
Hello.
Sid. Live show Sid, as he's now known, who's now setting up. John.
Hello.
Guys, everyone say hello. That's Rob. Rob is now fixing all the kits that have been busted en route. He's our resident repair guru. And everything else like that. So there we go, that's about it. As you see, it's a bit thin on the ground at the moment because all of these other ones are obviously club stands. They're not here yet. Hopefully the weather's going to liven up, so we're going to spend probably another hour getting this all straight. But the terrifying thing is, as you can see, doorway, our stand, this is the road and all the vans have to fit through, and it is extremely tight. There we go then guys, next update will be for you hopefully in the pub later on when we're having a drink, and then there's more to come from Telford. Okay then guys, so it's 9 o'clock Saturday morning. As you can see, the stand is set up. The guy's just finishing off the last of it. The standard on the table, our table, is frighteningly good. Complete with everything. The guys are all here. Hello. Yeah, that's it. Keith, hold on, Keith's running around. Sid's doing his video in, as you can see. And everything else. See, the boys are all there, all ready. Peter's here. And we've got to show you this. Phyllis has arrived. Sorry about the shaky angle, iPhone. But it is absolutely stunningly good. That is amazingly done. So yes, there we go. So remember, come and see us. We're all getting there. So as you can see, we're over in Hall 2. Make sure you all come and say hello. All the guys are here. All the promo stuff is all down here for you guys as well, which is Lynn is lovingly taking care of. Les. All right, gang?
Hello.
See, look, we're all folding and doing bags still and everything else. So there we go, only a little quick one for now. As I say, Sid has got his camcorder in hand.
and is going around, so he's getting loads of footage for us and everything else. So do pop along and see us, and we'll see you all again soon. Okay guys, here we go, day 2, just past 9 o'clock. Usual things are all going on. I think it's pretty much the same on the stand again. We've had a bit of a move around of some of the items. Everything else. The guys have been shopping, as you can see. Keith's buying stuff, look. Oh, oh look. Very good. Oh, he's been doing his sci-fi. Yes. Smiley, smiley.
Smiley
Smile.
you're on camera.
Lynn's doing her own work.
We're doing the flory dance.
Doing the flory dance.
Everybody in the flory dance.
So there we go, as you can see.
He's a vlogger.
Been round with the camcorder this morning, and we were in the media bits where they do all the photographing and everything, so we got some nice clear shots, hopefully, of all the competition area, which are absolutely amazing, stunning work as ever, and everything else. So there we go, we'll come back to you, hopefully, at the end of the day. We're packing up. Guys, if you are here and watching this, don't forget 2 o'clock we've got the members photo again, so make sure you pop along and make yourself known, pick up your goodie bags and all your bits and pieces, and we'll see you again soon.